Well, let's get some legal perspectives on the Supreme Court ruling and the new life in Imo governance. I'm now being joined by a legal practitioner, Mr. Kelechi Okparaku, who joins me from our Abuja studios. Welcome to the program. Now, as a lawyer, were you expecting anything, seeing as the judgment came as a surprise to many?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, I was a bit surprised with the judgment of the Supreme Court, given that the tribunal and the Court of Appeal had upheld the election of Right Honorable Emeka Ihedioha. And so, just like every other person, I was quite surprised with the outcome. And also, as a person, someone from Imo State, that also made my surprise, you can say double. So that was it. But then a lot of issues have arisen. As lawyers, though I've not read the judgment, so it will be difficult for me to analyze them. But there are a lot of questions that are agitating the minds of lawyers and even non-lawyers and immoralized. If you look at the fact that from what we read from the print and the social media, the decision of the Supreme Court to admit the result from the 388 wards, which the current governor, Mr. Hope Uzodinma, had alleged that INEC refused to compute during the computation of results. So we want to read the judgment of the Supreme Court to find out the reason why the Supreme Court decided to admit those results, which were rejected by INEC, by the tribunal, and by the Court of Appeal. And so many other issues surrounding the admissibility, the weight that was attached to the results, and other issues. So we'll wait until we read a full copy of the judgment before we can offer a proper critique of same.
There was something the former governor said, Emeka Ihedioha, in his statement, that he doesn't agree with the judgment of the Supreme Court. He thinks it's unfair, unjust, doesn't reflect the voting that took place during the elections. And, when we look at that, when you look at all of that, as a matter of fact, does that say that perhaps INEC made a mistake? What role would you say INEC played with the way things are, with the outcome so far?
Again, it will be a bit difficult to say because not being a member of the legal team of either the petitioner or the respondent, there definitely must have been something, because if you consider the fact that the full panel of the Supreme Court, consisting of 7 justices of the Supreme Court, there was no dissenting judgment, they unanimously agreed that there was a mistake and that INEC should have admitted those results and computed same. I mean, the result from the 388 was that was presented by Mr. Hope Uzodinma. So it's difficult. I would rather give the Supreme Court in this instance the benefit of the doubt, because for the full panel of the Supreme Court, the 7 justices to agree that those results should have been accepted, I would rather give them that benefit of the doubt to say that there was a loophole, and which the Supreme Court couldn't just ignore, and which was obviously overseen or not noted by the tribunal and the Court of Appeal. And finally, which the Supreme Court, and this is not the first time we have seen this happen. We have seen in other instances, the courts have, both the Court of Appeal and even the tribunals have had cause to overturn victories or to declare persons who had earlier who had earlier lost elections to be the proper candidates elected and return them elected. So it's not the first time. We have seen it happen over and over.
I must quickly ask you, before we let you go, there was a first instruction, which was to direct all banks to freeze accounts belonging to the state government effective from January 14. But then you know that the governor was sworn in on the 15th of January. Is there any legal implication to that, to such a directive coming at such a time?
Thank you very much. We have seen such directives happen even before the governor-elects are sworn in. I think from the moment that the Supreme Court had declared Right Honorable Emeka Ihedioha's candidacy as as null and void, he ceased to be the governor of the state. And personally, I don't see anything wrong with the directive by the governor-elect at that time, because if you look at it, I think it was aimed at protecting the access of the state from being filtered by the outgoing government or from persons who may have ulterior motive. So I think it was in order, it wasn't wrong, because eventually the ultimate objective was to safeguard the access of Imo State. There wasn't anything wrong with that legally.
Your time, legal practitioner Kelechi Oparako, thank you for joining us at this time.